today already on the socials. Follow me on X at Dan Mandis Show. And Joan, I don't know, you and I watched this video. Donald Trump, I got a lot of stuff to cover today. But early this morning, the President of the United States posted a video. And the video is basically called "What is Next for Gaza?" And it's a 33-second video. Go check it out because people are losing their ever-loving minds over this. Now, I posted the video to my ex, and I made a statement. I can't tell if this video, because Trump didn't create the video. Pretty sure he didn't. But he did share it on his socials. All right. So I said, I can't tell if this video is supposed to be for or against Donald Trump.
Bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Gaza is fighting.
But this video, 33 seconds, it's like a promotional video for what's next for Gaza, right? Because everybody knows that, Trump, he wants to put some sort of a resort on it.
Shining bright, a golden future, a brand new light.
And so these lyrics go like this.
Trump Gaza, #1.
Trump Gaza, #1. So the lyrics go like this. Donald's coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza's shining bright, golden future, a brand new light, feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, #1.
Donald is coming to set you free.
But it really is, and Joan, you saw it, it's a visual thing.
No more tunnels.
So
for sure.
you see, and that's why you've got to go check it out on my X. Follow me at Dan Mandis Show. So #1, it shows Elon Musk eating some sort of dish and throwing cash around. You've got a big golden statue of Donald Trump.
#1.
You got a bunch of kids running around with Trump balloons. You've got Trump dancing with, I guess, Mediterranean-like dancers. Inside one of the buildings, a shop selling all golden miniatures of Trump's head is seen as well. And finally, as the video ends, you see Donald Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, of course, Israel, are shown lying on the beach, topless, with a drink in their hand.
Gaza shining bright.
In their bathing suits. They're
In their
sunning
bathing suits,
themselves.
sure.
And those dancers, by the way, they're bearded belly dancers. It's a little creepy.
Oddly enough, I didn't notice the beards.
You
but
didn't
okay.
notice the beards?
I didn't. KGB, did you notice the beards when we looked at the video together?
No, my jaw was open, though.
Yeah.
So I can't tell
It's
if
so...
Trump is just trolling
Oh, yeah.
or what he's doing, and I can't tell if this is supposed to be like a pro-Trump video, a negative Trump video, because what this does is it basically plays into all of the perceptions and accusations that Donald Trump basically wants to make this into, an ode to himself, which is what the left is saying Trump wants to do. So he's kind of playing into that accusation. I personally just find it funny, but I understand why people's heads are exploding, especially in the Middle East. So I don't know. Do you think this is, and go see it on X. I asked the question, and one guy said, "Really, Dan?" So I don't know. Maybe this is an obvious answer, and I'm just completely missing it. What do you think, Joan? Is this pro or negative Trump? Because he posted it on his socials.
I think he's totally trolling.
Thank you, Joan. He's trolling.
Yeah, he's trying to get people to talk about it, and they're going to talk about it. I saw all kinds of comments online. Of course, the haters just,
Oh, they're going nuts.
Oh, they're going crazy. And but I think everybody needs to chill out.
Chillax,
Just see
man.
the humor in it. I don't think that he actually means this. It looks really beautiful, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And that's the point. It's ridiculous.
Now, all that being said, I mean, take out all of the Trump trolling parts. And by the way, just so you folks know, in case you've missed my monologues on this, I think it's a great idea. I would love to see Gaza turned into some sort of a resort. I just don't think it can happen. And the reason it can't happen, I believe, as much as I would love to see it, and I think that it is a great idea, I just think that the region is so volatile, and you've got all of these, you've got Hamas, and you've got all of these folks that hate everything capitalism. And so if you're a construction crew, are you really going to go into the Gaza Strip and you're going to start, building luxury hotels? Because you know that Hamas, they're going to be able to infiltrate and start killing folks. And then would you go and stay at a luxury hotel in Gaza?
And I don't think they can guarantee security there.
No, I don't think they can guarantee security. And again, I would love to see it because the usual stuff over the past many, many, many years clearly hasn't been working. So I don't know what the answer is. Trump understands, though, that the usual business as usual isn't working. But people are just, for today, this is one of the big stories. It was like at the top story at the Daily Mail.
Really?
Yeah, and now this is kind of it's kind of like a little earworm. Trump Gaza number one.
How about all the gold Donald Trump statues that people are buying?
How long before somebody comes out with a video of Trump doing the Trump dance to that song? Anyway, so there you go.
Yeah.
KGB doesn't think it's funny at all.
So not listening to you.
Well, that's fine. Listen, it's cool. Yeah, I think he's upset because I thought I see the funny and the trolling in it, but he brings up the very astute point, and of course everyone knows it is a very volatile region, and you have that there as well. So, by the way, watch us on YouTube if you would, like and subscribe to the channel, and also take the Daily Dan poll, which today, Joan, basically it's this. Grade Trump's first 5 weeks. What do you think of the Trump administration so far? We've got A, B, C, D, and F. And I've been thinking about this because my initial reaction is I want to give him an A. But I want to really think about this. So I think at 8:35 is when I'm going to really come up with what I would give Donald Trump as far as his first 5 weeks in office. So, I mean, it's going to be either an A or a B plus, but I'm trying to think of, okay, so if I was going to say what could Donald Trump improve upon, I would have to really think about it. I think one thing, and I'll get into this here in a little bit, is I think communication needs to be addressed regarding Doge, and I'll talk about that coming up. But, I mean, other than that, I think that he's doing really, really good. All right, so I'm trying to figure out if people are watching the Trump video on my X feed at Dan Mandis Show.
Can you tell?
A few people have watched it looks like, but I can't tell if I'm getting any new followers or whatever, and I really don't care about that. By the way, Super Text line is going to be open momentarily, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Coming up, Tulsi Gabbard is now and has addressed one of the big stories we awkwardly covered yesterday, the X-rated chat rooms within the intelligence agencies. We're going to talk about that straight ahead on WTN 5:15. Time to check the roads.
Yeah, still nothing going on the roads this morning. It's looking great heading in on 24, heading in on 65, and inbound on 40. Also looking great so far this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, very good. 5:16 on Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather today, a high of 72 and partly cloudy skies. We may see some rain tonight into the overnight and some rain tomorrow morning as well. So, yes, Tulsi Gabbard, she was on with... on Fox News with Jesse Waters. We all know the story about the X-rated sex chat rooms that were going on, made headlines. The scoop from Christopher Rufo. He did post this. He said, at Tulsi Gabbard is preparing a memo directing all intelligence agencies to identify the employees who participated in the NSA's obscene, pornographic, and sexually explicit chat rooms and to terminate their employment and revoke their security clearances He says the deadline is Friday. Well, here we are on a Wednesday morning, and it looks like they've already figured out who these people are, and they've been fired.
Well, Jesse, what we're going to do has already been done. There are over 100 people from across the intelligence community that contributed to and participated in this, what is really just an egregious violation of trust, what to speak of like basic rules and standards around professionalism. I put out a directive today that they all will be terminated and their security clearances will be revoked. But the thing here, Jesse, is like we got to take a step back because this is just barely scratching the surface. When you see what these people were saying, and thanks to Chris Rufo for putting it all out online, they were brazen in using an NSA platform intended for professional use to conduct this kind of really horrific behavior. And they were brazen in doing this because when was the last time anyone was really held accountable? Certainly not over the last 4 years, certainly not over the last 10, maybe 20 years. When we look at some of the biggest violations of the American people's trust in the intelligence community. So today's action in holding these individuals accountable is just the beginning of what we're seeing across the Trump administration, which is carrying out the mandate the American people gave him. Clean house, root out that rot and corruption and weaponization and politicization, so we can start to rebuild that trust in these institutions that are charged with an important mission of serving the American people, ensuring our safety, security, and freedom.
Yep, Tulsi Gabbard, and she makes a lot of sense. And the crazy thing, of course, and we covered this ad nauseum yesterday, so I'm not going to do a big deep dive into this. I don't think, other than what I just told you, I don't know if there's any bigger of an update on that story. Bottom line, though, is the investigation there does continue. But she talked about, and you heard her say in that piece of audio, that certainly not in the Biden administration, nobody has ever really been held accountable for anything. But as we mentioned many times yesterday, this was Joe Biden sanctioned. This was a Joe Biden sanctioned thing. Part of the whole DEI initiative there within the Biden administration. And so now here we come. And I love that Tulsi Gabbard is saying, you know what? It may have been Biden sanctioned, but it was still wrong. And yes, 100 people have been fired. At least we'll have to see if there's any more people that ultimately they end up firing. By the way, I've got to mention, Joe, and apparently we're having some issues with the radio signal.
Yeah, I'm seeing that all over the chat this morning.
I'm sitting here and I'm trying to do a show, and all these people are hammering me on my phone and on the text line. I don't know exactly what's going on. That's why KGB is in there furiously trying to listen. If you can hear me on the radio, you know what's weird? This just literally started when we went local.
Right. So
because
it was
the red eye
fine
guys
overnight.
were fine, I think. Mm-hmm. And then I, of course, start coming on and something starts happening. I believe, though, that we're okay on YouTube. So if you can make out anything that I'm hearing on the radio, go to your phone. This is what I love about the YouTube. Go to your phone, open up your YouTube app, and I'm assuming clear as day there. So there now you know what I hate about this? So many things, Joan. But number one is had a pretty good opening segment. And the radio people couldn't hear it.
Right.
But the online people
is okay?
did.
Yeah, that's really weird. Usually it's the other way around, right?
Yeah, I think online is okay.
Because I was having issues with my phone, so I thought it was Verizon this morning when I was first coming in.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's like some weird thing that's happening.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should we blame like the haters? Maybe we can blame the haters.
Oh yeah, we could definitely do that.
The hate listeners have infiltrated our line going from the
We don't have hate listeners. We have all love all the time. Dan.
Fake news. You're fake news. If I had that ready, I'd totally play it for you. All right. So I'm trying to figure out from Jeff if I should go to a break or what. Jeff, should I go to a break or what do you want me to do, man?
Go to break. You're good.
Are we all fixed?
Well, I'm
What's
hearing
happening?
good things on the chat line, but Yeah, we seem to be good. We seem to be good to go now.
So what did you break when we opened up? See what I did there, Joan?
Uh-huh.
What did you
I gotcha.
break when we opened up? Was that something you did specifically?
just got a break.
522 on Nashville's Morning News. We'll return next on WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
526, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 89.7 WTN.
7209 wants to know if we need a new flux capacitor.
You know what? I would love a new flux capacitor. Apparently, Joan, our HD was out of alignment, kind of like my back sometimes. Before I went to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and the Wellness Institute of Nashville. You like how I did that?
That was beautiful.
Wasn't it,
really
though?
Seamless.
Yeah, so apparently our HD was... That happens sometimes where I don't even pretend to understand it. Here's the good news. KGB and the engineers, they fixed it. So, or they're in the process of fixing it now, so that's very exciting.
We should be good to go.
All right, very good. Jeff, how's your morning going so far? Is it going good?
Starting off a little rough there, Dan. Starting off a little rough.
Gives you a little something to do, KGB. You don't just sit back and do nothing now.
You know, I'm giving you credit for fixing it, man. Come on.
I'm so out of it today.
Okay, good. Well, then we'll just go ahead and carry on. Hey, Joan.
Yes, sir.
You saw that the White House and Caroline Leavitt, they're now changing the way that traditionally they choose the White House press corps and who is allowed access. Did you see that?
I did.
I find it kind of funny that there are so many people within traditional Washington. Well, you were part of the traditional Washington press culture. So you tell me.
Joan was fake news?
Hey,
Yes, I was actually. Not willingly.
The first stage is admitting it.
Actually, no. Joan, and she can't really get into it. So I'm going to say just kind of like a blanket statement. Joan was in a situation where she was surrounded by fake news, and she was one of the ones saying, "You're fake news." And here she is. Where the real news every single day.
Every single day. A glorious feeling to be able to tell the news without the angle, the slant, the talking points.
That's exactly right.
Glorious. And I'm telling you, it's amazing.
And you know that's not the only time, Joan, that I've been called glorious.
It wasn't really you.
It wasn't you. Glorious. I'm going to have to defend Joan. That, no, absolutely not.
I don't know who like peed in your Cheerios today, you two, but come on, man.
You did. That's why I'm mad at you.
Whatever.
Hey, I'm not in line with what the White House is doing. The reason you have the White House Correspondents Union or organization is because if a president is choosing the media that surrounds him, he's choosing favorable media. The job of the media is to dig in and find the things that are wrong and uncover things that need to be uncovered, although our press doesn't do that. There's got to be some different way to do this because
there's got to be a way to find balance.
He can't go around picking the people that he wants to talk about him favorably.
I've got some great audio from Scott Jennings coming up next on that very topic. Details straight ahead. Super Talk 89.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Wow, is it chilly this morning? It's 39 degrees, but we are going to have another gorgeous day ahead. Stick around for the forecast. Well, if not Elon, then who? We finally have learned the identity of the acting administrator of Doge. Her name is Amy Gleason. She's a former chief product officer for two healthcare startups here in Nashville. Before that, during the first Trump administration, she worked at United States Digital Service. That's the service that was renamed to Doge in January. Now, after the White House named Gleason as acting administrator yesterday, more than 20 members of the former digital service resigned with a letter criticizing Elon Musk. The 19-year-old who was wanted in the shooting of a 4-year-old over the weekend has now been arrested. U.S. Marshals tracked down Talik Galashaw King in Murfreesboro yesterday. He's being held on $60,000 bond. The 4-year-old is expected to be okay. President Trump has a new idea for allowing some people into the country legally. They would have to pay bigly for it.
What he's calling a gold card, a version of a green card that would be sold to foreign investors who want to buy their way towards becoming a U.S. citizen.
We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship. and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card.
The U.S. would not be the first country to offer so-called golden visas. Countries in Europe have similar initiative programs.
That's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. And just in case you weren't sure what to grab from the closet this morning.
I want a jacket this morning, shorts and short sleeves. Otherwise, the umbrella not necessary today, but I am tracking some rain for tonight.
You're welcome. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, I guess the good news is there's really nothing happening this morning on the roadways. Now, traveling in on 24, it looks like we're just starting to get some volume building up in the Laverne area. Heading inbound this morning, 24 on the northbound side. Make that I guess it would be the eastbound side heading in this morning. That's looking fine. 65 is looking good too, and we have no delays to report on 40. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 89.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. Dan Mandis here, along with Joan Jones, KGB Jeff Malinoff, producing today. Like us and subscribe to YouTube, and you can take the Daily Dan poll. How would you grade Donald Trump's first 5 weeks? Now, so far, 78%, Joan, have given Donald Trump an A.
Okay.
You have it up. You have the poll up yourself.
I sure do. 14%. You've got enough to do in there, apparently.
I'm proud of you.
14% say that he's got a B. 6% give Donald Trump a C, and a D or an F. 3%. I wonder, do you know what I wonder, Joe? Do you think the people that gave Donald Trump a D or an F, do you think those are the hate listeners?
Oh, they could be. They could well be.
You know what we'll do one day?
Identify them. We'll out them.
No.
Oh.
I think on a day where I really just decide that I want to go ahead and shame spiral.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give Nashville's Morning News a grade. Oh, can you imagine? And the funny thing is, too, is now I've got to take my. I'm watching myself on YouTube, and I can't do that.
Well, they're all going to give you an F just to mess with you. They won't. They won't. Like some will go A, actually give you a real grading, but like I would say 50% will go. It's Dan, so
let's go ahead and give him an F just to mess with him, which is what they do.
Because then Joan, you know this. He'll ask us, like, do you really think the show's bad? Off the air.
Yeah, please don't do that.
He'll get into his head.
How was the show today, right? I ask.
You ask that all the time after the show.
Yes. And you two are awesome, but when Ken and Johnny were here, and we were just in the first throes of this thing, it was like every segment or two. Is it sounding okay? Did I shank anything? I mean, it got to the point where.
Wait a minute. How'd you do your own impression so good? You did an impression of yourself, and it was better than how you actually talk. That was impressive.
Thank you. Well, I've had a lot of coffee this morning. By the way, March 4th, I want you to come on out. Me, Chad, Chris, Matt, and Brian, and Joan is going to be there.
I'll be there.
And it's going to be at the Nashville Palace. I'm supposed to do this twice an hour. Nashville Palace. Go to 997 WTN.com. It is a celebration. It is a celebration. You folks that have given Donald Trump an A for the first 5 weeks in the What Would You Grade Donald Trump, come on out and celebrate with us, because we are celebrating Trump in office, and we're also celebrating, the fact that he's getting a lot done, and we're also going to be watching his State of the Union address. And so looking forward to...
I'll be there, too.
All of that. You're going to be there?
I decided to come, yeah, so I should be there.
Okay, very good. Very
Hope
exciting.
you bring a better attitude.
So...
Wow. I thought we go after Dan and not each other, Joan. We made a pact, and you broke it.
Yeah. Why do I get the feeling this is going to be a long show? There's some sort of weird vibe going on today. Listen, let's reset right now. All right, so...
all right, hitting the opener.
No, let's not do that again. So, Caroline Leavitt, I want to make sure that I understand what they're doing. So, apparently what the White House is doing, well, we can hear from Caroline Leavitt herself. Let's get the audio up if we could, KGB.
Just like we added a new media seat in this briefing room, legacy media outlets who have been here for years will still participate in the pool. But new voices are going to be welcomed in as well.
Okay.
As part of these changes, we will continue the rotation amongst the 5 major television networks to ensure the president's remarks are heard far and wide around this world. We will add additional streaming services which reach different audiences than traditional cable and broadcast. This is the ever-changing landscape of the media in the United States today.
All right, so it sounds like, and I've got a little bit more audio to play, but it sounds like what they're doing is they're giving more access to other voices rather than just ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, and I don't know who I missed, but, the traditional, the old gray lady, New York Times, Washington Post, et cetera. And so it sounds to me like what's happening is that they're expanding out those voices. Now, what they're doing, though, I guess, is they're usurping the authority from the... Who is it? The Journalists Union or whatever it is, Joan?
It's the White House Correspondents Union,
Yes, the White House Correspondents people. They're all upset because they think that their power is being taken away.
We will continue to rotate a print pooler, who has the great responsibility of quickly transcribing the president's remarks and disseminating them to the rest of the world. And we will add outlets to the print pool rotation who have long been denied the privilege to partake in this experience, but are committed to covering this White House beat.
Okay.
We will continue to rotate a radio pooler and add other radio hosts who have been denied access, especially local radio hosts who serve as the heartbeat of our country.
Wow. Okay, so I think we need to do a contest, Joan.
Yeah.
Me, Hand, Benson, or Murphy Show. Which of the four of us, because she just said local radio hosts.
Yep.
Last time I checked, I'm local. So I would love to, can you imagine which one of us could get in there and get a question? I think it'd be, I would bet Murphy Show.
No, you just flash your Marconi. Oh, guys, I think I got this.
Oh, you got a Marconi?
Nobody,
really?
Trust me, nobody cares about. I could threaten to hit him over the head with a Marconi if they didn't let me in.
It's like a race to the contract to go to D.C. and you're just hitting people with it.
No, you know what I think they would do? What they're going to do is they're probably going to bring somebody in via Zoom. I think that's probably what they would do. One last comment. Yeah.
And we will add additional outlets and reporters who are well suited to cover the news of the day and ask substantive questions of the President of the United States, depending on the news he is making on that given day.
All right, so there you go. So it sounds like the media, I don't know. It sounds like what they're doing is they're just expanding the number of people that can have access to the president and the questions that are asked and so forth. Am I misreading that, Joan?
No.
So I don't necessarily see anything wrong with it because those other outlets are going to have access. It's just their access, I think, is going to be a little diluted.
Yes.
So,
however, this is also the press pool that they're talking about. So it's the folks that'll travel on the plane on Air Force One.
Right.
These are the folks that'll come to events that are taking place, not necessarily those who are sitting in the briefing room. But like I said, if the president is allowed to choose the organizations that come and, not represent him, I guess, but they're the ones that are reporting on him, and they're all One American News, Fox News, News Nation, so if it's all of them, he's going to get some pretty favorable press.
Somebody's got to be there, and I fully support what you're saying, Joan. Somebody has to be able to get in there and ask some good questions that are journalistic in nature that will be hard hitting.
Yes,
but you see, here's the thing: is Trump has never shied away from that. As a matter of fact, I think Trump excels at going in there and doing battle with the media. He does. He actually loves that. Scott Jennings, they were covering this on CNN, and Jennings is, you feel sorry for Scott Jennings because he's like, kind of like you in Washington, D.C. He is like the lone voice of reason.
Yeah.
And so he is covering this. They're talking about this on CNN. You do have a lot of reporters who are aghast at this, and they, of course, are calling Donald Trump a dictator and all that. This is what Scott Jennings has to say.
Baker, who is a longtime foreign correspondent, he covers the White House for the New York Times. He said, having served as a Moscow correspondent in the early days of Putin's reign, this reminds me of how the Kremlin took over its own press pool and made sure that only compliant journalists were given access.
Okay, can we just address this dictator business? I'm going to quote from some statistics put together. So our old friend Chris Cillizza, who calculated that in the first month of the Trump administration, the president took 1,009 questions. Hardly dictatorial behavior. Same stat for Joe Biden, 141. And I would remind you all that in 2023, the Biden administration revoked the hard passes of 442 journalists. And at the time, the White House Correspondents Association took, quote, a non-committal stance.
Yeah.
So if you're worried about transparency, Trump is being far more transparent than any recent
why were their press
administration.
passes revoked?
I don't know.
Was it because they didn't go to the White House frequently? Because
I don't
that
know.
happens
They lost their access.
That happens in every administration.
They lost their access.
Besides,
So,
442. Biden people never called on James Rosen from Newsmax, and he's a real legitimate
but James
reporter.
Rosen
They never called on him.
was allowed in the White
press
House.
room.
Yeah, so there you go. So that's part of the fight, too. I think that this is playing right into, and then clearly nobody cares at the White House, but this does play right into the media's narrative that Donald Trump is a what word am I looking for? He is like Hitler-like. He's taking over the press. I don't know what word I'm looking for.
Dictatorial.
Dictatorial. That's what it is. Dictatorial. So I don't know. I think that's one of those that this is more important to the media than it is to regular folk.
I think, well, in the end, we would all understand because of the way it's being covered. And I think if Caroline Leavitt said that we're only allowing the people that we choose. Yep. She's not saying that. She's saying that the regular, you're going to get the ABC, NBC, CBS. They're all going to be there.
Yep.
But they're going to choose other people as well to go in. So I think that there's a big difference between a dictator's approach and this approach.
Exactly. By the way, did you hear what happened in Washington, D.C.? I think it was earlier this week, where there was in one of the big government agencies, the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Oh, yeah.
The TVs. Mm-hmm. Did you hear what happened there?
Yeah.
Somebody managed to get a video, an AI video, to appear on, I guess it's the in-building circuit TVs of Donald Trump kissing and fondling Elon Musk's feet.
Licking his toes.
Licking his toes. I actually saw this video. I wanted to see it. And
why?
Because they got fired.
No, why did Dan want to see it?
Because I need to cover it for the radio. Research. That's what it was. It was research.
Yeah.
Amy, I swear, it's research.
No, I
don't look at my phone.
I truly wanted to see it. And it is gross.
Yeah.
It is gross. And so somehow somebody got to all the TVs in the building. And I mean, you're talking about the hallways, the cafeterias. You've got, like here, we have TVs all over the place. And you've got business rooms and conference rooms and all that. And this video just starts showing. And it is horrific in nature. And so now they're trying to figure out, okay, who did this? They say the video featured the words, "Long live the real king," in front of AI-generated footage of President Trump kissing billionaire first buddy Elon Musk's feet. HUD has now located a person connected with the bizarre incident and confirmed plans to hold that person accountable.
Oh, that's good.
They say legal ramifications are being explored, the spokesperson said. Additionally, termination or suspension of certain services are being explored as it relates to that department.
Okay, real question, though. Which one's more disturbing, that or the AI video of Trump and Kamala with, like, when she's pregnant and they're, like, married and they kiss and that kind of thing? Which one's more?
Never saw that one.
You know, I never saw that one. No.
That one is pretty traumatizing. It's basically like Kamala, like, you know how you, like, a father holds a pregnant wife, like in those photos? It's the same thing there, and you're kissing, and then they have a kid together, and it's like they're married.
Yeah.
That one's pretty traumatizing also.
Okay.
Do you know how they got the video to stop playing on the HUD
How?
televisions?
Turning off the TV?
They had to pull the plug on all of them because they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out how to make it stop.
Wow.
It's like it's like a 7-year-old asking their kid, "How do you turn off the TV? How do you change it to HDMI 2?"
The regular phone call to my kids.
Well, or if accidentally somebody in the house is watching something they shouldn't be watching, and then all of a sudden here it comes. Or the worst one, where if like somebody's Bluetooth, I've heard this happen to people, where Bluetooth will take, like if you're watching something on your phone and it takes over the Alexa or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And all of a
Smart
sudden.
TV.
Now it's playing on the TV.
Yeah, now it's playing all over the house. And it's like, oh, my Lord. By the way.
Bringing the light for all to see.
So now that we're broadcasting at full power, very quickly, follow me on X at Dan Manda Show. There is a video that Donald Trump reposted this morning, or early, a few hours ago, that is causing heads to explode. And
I hate myself for seat dancing to this.
there you go. And
Number one.
although you're not like a bearded lady, but
Right.
and it shows the future of Gaza. Now, we all know that Trump, he talks about wanting to make, Gaza a resort, very controversial. Well, basically what this video is somebody concocted an AI-generated, it's almost like a commercial about what the Gaza Strip will look like as a resort. And it's very controversial for a number of different reasons because, number one, of course, Elon Musk is in it. And it shows Elon eating and throwing cash around a big golden statue of Donald Trump, right? A bunch of kids running around with Donald Trump balloons, Trump dancing with Mediterranean-like singers, and inside one of the buildings, a shop selling all golden miniatures of Donald Trump's head is seen as well. And it ends with Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from Israel. They're lying on the beach, bathing suited and topless with a drink in their hand. And so I tweeted this out. I posted this on X. Follow me at Dan Manda Show. Very simple question that I ask. Okay, I can't tell if this is, I mean, obviously, number one, Donald Trump is trolling. He knows this is going to make heads explode, and I guarantee you CNN probably has been covering it. And so, number one, he's trolling. But number two, the people that produce this, are they trying to make this a video that is anti-Trump or pro-Trump? Because what it does is it plays into all of the fears that people have about Donald Trump, where he's trying to make Gaza into sort of like a Mar-a-Lago of the Mediterranean, I guess. And so he's got the big golden statue and kids running around with, golden balloons of Donald Trump's head and selling little miniatures. It's like, Trump is trying to make himself the dictator of Gaza, is what it looks like. And there's some, like Kim Jong-un kind of stuff going on there. So I don't know. So my question is, whoever produced this, is this sort of a slap at Trump, or is this a positive made maybe by somebody from the Middle East who thinks that, this is going to be a great thing? I can't tell. What do you think, Joan?
I think it's just another way to get people to talk about it.
Yeah.
And, he's doing we're doing exactly what he wants us to do. Talk about it.
And we are.
And we are.
And I
the
keep
bearded
playing the
ladies
music.
and all.
The bearded ladies and all. I think it's kind of funny that this is a man who absolutely knows how to troll. It is, by the way, Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Watch us, if you would, on YouTube. Like and subscribe to the channel. And right now, the Daily Dan poll is up and running. And the Daily Dan poll today is, how would you grade Donald Trump's first 5 weeks? Earlier, 78% of you gave the president an A, 14% a B, 6% a C, and the 3%ers gave Donald Trump a D and or an F. And do you have the current numbers up, KGB, if you do? I had to take it down because I can't watch myself and talk at the same time.
I do. Roughly around the same. 75% give him an A, 19% a B, C is a 5%, and then D or F, because I can't do 5 separate polls, is 2%. So it actually went down.
Very good. 5:54. Joan Jones has the news at 6. Joan.
Yeah, a small plane crash on Center Hill Lake yesterday. We'll tell you what happened with that. Also, Metro Police are still searching for a hit-and-run driver, and we'll give you the condition of the man who was hit as well. Those stories coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, have you seen the new Trump hat? How long before Chris Hand brings
I'll have
in
it on today.
his Trump was right about everything hats? You think I'm making this up? I guess this was yesterday, and it's the MAGA red, and it says Trump was right about everything, which is, can I be honest, that's a pretty long message for a hat. But I think I'm going to get one for Chris Hand because we love Chris Hand, and he loves his Trump gear. So anyway, and by the way, reality is Donald Trump was right about, I think, just about everything.
Just about everything.
All right, it is 6 o'clock, Nashville's Morning News. By the way, Jasmine Crockett, have you heard her message for Elon Musk?
I did. Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
We're going to play that coming up next on WTN.
Good morning, 6 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 11th hour lobbying by President Trump helped to get House GOP members to go ahead and pass the budget framework for his One Big Beautiful Bill in a nighttime vote. Republicans will now need to agree on the details of that tax and funding cut bill. 2 men arrested in the shooting of 3 men leaving a hookah bar early on Monday morning. Here's Channel 4's Amanda Hara.
22-year-old Mohammed Al-Rabi and 23-year-old Sadiq Al-Shif are charged with criminal homicide. Detectives say Ahmed Amran was shot and killed while in the driver's seat of a car. 2 other people were in the car with him. Both were taken to the hospital. The shooting happened early Monday morning as Amran and his friends were leaving a hookah bar on Nolensville Pike.
And their car that they were in crashed into a business on Nolensville Pike. Police say Al-Rabi was identified on surveillance footage. 3 days since TriStar Stonecrest trauma surgeon Dr. Josh Taylor was run over while crossing 8th Avenue, and police are still searching for the driver while Dr. Taylor fights for his life. Wesley Smith with Walk Bike Nashville tells Channel 4 excessive speed and poor lighting were at play here.
We get, between 20, 30 plus of these each year. So it's always a somber reminder, but it's never a surprising one.
Now, Metro Police are asking that you keep an eye out for a red Jeep with a black door on the driver's side, which should have front-end damage. Call them if you see it. A small plane crashed on Center Hill Lake in Smithville yesterday. News 2's Elishiva Wimberly.
Nearby fishermen saw the plane crash, according to DeKalb County Fire Chief Donnie Green. Now, the pilot, James Luna, managed to get out of that plane and board the fisherman's boat with only minor injuries.
And the FAA is investigating. Police say the pilot had been trying to land in the water near the north end of the lake when the crash happened. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
A downbeat report on consumer confidence left investors in a selling mood Tuesday. The S&P gave up 0.5% on the day. The Nasdaq lost 1.33%. The Dow Jones managed a 160-point gain to close at 43,621. Dock workers on the East and Gulf Coasts have approved a new 6-year contract that includes a 62% pay raise. Members of the International Longshoremen's Association went on strike in October but have been working under a temporary contract. After a steep decline in earnings last year, Stellantis is predicting a return to revenue growth this year. The parent to Jeep, Dodge, and Fiat posted a net profit in 2024 of $5.8 billion, a 70% drop from 2023.
And stock futures this morning are pointing a bit higher. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, starting to slow down now on 24 westbound after Old Hickory Boulevard as you're inbound this morning. But otherwise, not too bad. Things are fine on 65, and we have no delays to speak of on 40. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well. There is just so much to talk about. By the way, Congressman Scott Desjardins, he'll be joining us at 7:35 this morning here on Nashville's Morning News, the House of Representatives. You heard Joan talking about this. They have signed off on a budget. Now the big question is, it has to go back to the Senate. Now, you know, the Senate had their own version. And so now everybody has to come together. And then off it goes to President Trump. Congressman Scott Desjardins will be joining us to give us his perspective. There's a number of things going on within the House of Representatives. That's number one. And he's got to be thrilled to be talking to me so early because he had a late night. Number two is there seems to be, from what the reporting is, and I don't know if you saw this, Joan, and I don't know how much of this is being, blown out of proportion, but a lot of Republicans, or some Republicans, seem to be really angry with Elon Musk. And so now you've got some consternation. It would appear that's what is being reported, with some Republicans angry with Elon Musk and his influence with Donald Trump, Doge, the emails, all of that stuff. And so all of that will be topic of conversation for me with Congressman Scott Desjardins, 7:35 here on WTN. Also, Brian Wilson will be joining us. It's Wednesdays with Wilson. That is at 7:05 right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jasmine Crockett was asked if she had a message for Elon Musk. And this is what she said.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Off.
That's it. I mean, that's ever so eloquent. Jasmine Crockett.
If you could speak directly to Elon Musk, what would you say?
Off.
That's it. I know what the thing is. I know that it would be really easy to say, oh, well, she's, I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Potty mouth,
blah, blah, blah. You know, Trump has been throwing down his own bombs. So, and I would love Elon Musk because I know that Elon Musk would be able to respond in kind. And so I think in Washington, D.C., right now, there's a lot of cursing. And I think the reason why they're doing it is for impact. I mean, this is how Jasmine Crockett, this is how she speaks. So for her, it's not actually real surprising that she said that about Elon Musk. I would be willing to bet she would also say it about President Trump. And quite honestly, can you imagine, though, if Trump said that directly to Jasmine Crockett? If somebody said, do you have a message for Jasmine Crockett? And he said, F off. I mean, it would be burning in the streets. It would be, oh, he's racist and all of these other things. He's racist. He's misogynist. He's oppressive. All of that usual complete and utter BS. And so a lot of people on the right, of course, I would say pearl clutching about all this. I just think this is life in Washington, D.C. Right now, you do have a lack of decorum. And I think right now that lack of decorum really is making its way through Washington, D.C. By the way, did you hear? Do I have time to do this now?
Of course you do. You started it.
I did start it. I shouldn't do that. The Donald Trump gold cards. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So we've all heard of the green cards. These are cards that foreigners can use to live in our country legally. Well, Trump now has an idea, And what he wants to do is he wants to bring in a lot of money for America, basically by selling rich foreign people access to our country.
We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy.
Yeah, so the idea is that he wants to be able to sell these gold cards, $5 million each. And the idea is that you've got all of these rich foreigners, maybe people who live in Europe, they live in Saudi Arabia, India, whatever, and they will pay $5 million basically to live in America. And so what the president is saying is that it's going to help bring in money, and it'll also be ultimately a route to citizenship. And to me, it does make sense.
And they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful and never been done before or anything like this. But it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks out? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
All right. So now before the left goes hysterical, and I have no idea if it would really bring in millions of dollars, but there's the usual from Donald Trump. It's going to bring in billions. It could bring in whatever. But these rich folks, they are coming here anyway. They come and go as they please. But what this will do is it'll replace the EB-5 visa, which allows foreign investors to pump money into U.S. projects that create jobs, and then they come over. You know what the problem is with the EB-5? Is that it is riddled. I know you could guess this. It is riddled with corruption. It is riddled with fraud. The EB-5 Immigrant Investor Program requires investments of $1,050,000 or $800,000 in a targeted employment area, and you create 10 jobs. And if you do that, then you get into the country. But again, it just has a lot of corruption. It's got a lot of fraud. We've all been talking about this for years. And so they want to cancel it, because it's got so much fraud and corruption that really at this point, the EB-5 visa program, it is almost a joke. And you've got all these foreigners that will come up with a project, and I'm air quoting this, they'll invest the money to create businesses here in America, but then that money is basically laundered right back into their own pockets, and in the process, they're getting access to America. And so Trump is saying, you know what, can we all just cut the BS? And can we all just say, you know what, you write us a check for $5 million and you can get access to the country. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick says that since the current EB-5 green card system is so fraudulent, he says we've got to come up with a better system.
So the president said rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America. The president can give them a green card, and they can invest in America, and we can use that money to reduce our deficit. Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America instead?
There you go. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. Now,
I have something for you.
Yes.
You can buy your way into other countries, too.
Yeah, you can do it in Canada.
You can. Oh, I didn't know that. You can buy your way onto Antigua or Barbados, $100,000 donation to the National Development Fund.
Oh, sure.
You can buy your way onto Grenada for $150,000. Okay. St. Kitts, it costs $250,000. St. Lucia, $200,000. Makes those countries seem like a relative bargain. So don't you think that at $5 million, we're getting like the cream of the crop?
We should be.
Because like you or I could maybe scrounge up that much money if we rate our investments,
Sure.
to get onto Grenada if we wanted to. So
I would want to buy my way onto Barbados. If I was going to do this, I would want to save. How much for Barbados?
Oh, Barbuda. 100,000. $100,000.
They got great beaches in Barbados.
Antigua's not bad either.
Do you know a lot of Canadian millionaires live in Barbados to get away from the taxes in Canada?
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me.
Vanuatu, 130,000.
Who? Where?
Vanuatu.
Vanuatu?
Yeah.
Bless you. It's a joke. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. $6:16. Very good. 6:16. Nashville's morning news on WTN. As far as your weather goes, today 72 degrees for a high, partly cloudy. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's morning news. Do you think the gold cards that Trump wants to sell for $5 million? Do you think they'll have his picture on it? I think that'd actually be very funny. It's like
probably
it would be an actual gold card, and it would have a picture of Trump.
Trump branded everything.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, here's what the left is saying about this, because I guess this was big news yesterday. Trump is trying to line his own pockets with foreign money. Trump is trying to sell access to America to corrupt rich foreigners. And I guarantee you it's going to be all the usual drama. But this is something that does happen all across the world. You know, one thing Trump did say in this news conference, and it did make sense, is that if you're like a Tim Cook, right, a guy that owns Apple, if you're a Tim Cook kind of guy, person who, he runs a big company, and there's somebody from another country who's got a great skill set, and he's about to graduate college, and he might be sent home, Apple, I'm just using this as an example, and Trump did too, Apple, as an example, can just find that person and buy their way into our country legally with $5 million.
The gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs, very high-level people. I think companies will pay to get people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or Stanford or any college, and nobody knows if you can even go to work for a company.
Right. And so one of the criticisms, of course, from the Huffington Post, listen to how they frame this. The announcement, which is a clear indicator of class discrimination, comes after Trump repeatedly degraded non-wealthy immigrants and ramped up immigration raids. Well, I don't know if Trump has degraded non-wealthy immigrants, but one of the things that Donald Trump has said, by the way, Joan, you had that handy list?
Yeah.
Can you find out how much it costs to buy your way into Canada?
Oh, yeah.
Trump has actually said over and over that he favors legal immigration. And yes, Donald Trump has said, and I have said, and every conservative on planet Earth has said that the American people want people who can come here and actually contribute. That's what the president has said. He wants people to come in and contribute to our economy and our society, as opposed to folks that come in and all they do is they take from our country. They get all the free stuff, and they don't want to contribute. And so it does make all the sense in the world. And yes, Donald Trump has ramped up immigration raids because we have a lot of illegal aliens in this country who are criminals. And so we need people who can help us become a better country, not people that want to sneak in or come in and just take all the free stuff.
So you're getting big taxpayers, big job producers, and we'll be able to sell maybe 1 million of these cards, maybe more than that. And if you add up the numbers, they're pretty good. As an example, 1 million cards would be worth $5 trillion. $5 trillion. Wow. And if you sell 10 million of the cards, that's a total of $50 trillion. Well, we have $35 trillion in debt. That'd be nice. So we'll see.
There you go. So again, the left is losing their ever-loving minds.
So,
my question would be, will people actually pay $5 million?
Well, in Canada, you pay 1.2 million Canadian dollars.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Do you get the joke? Do you get the joke?
Yeah. Oh, it was a joke?
Canada. Oh, Canada. Whatever. Go on.
You're not going to sing for us, are you?
Nope.
They should pay us to go there, to be honest with you.
So you can pay $1.2 million, and it doesn't buy you direct citizenship, but it does give you permanent residency. And then once you've been living permanently in Canada for 3 out of 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. So it's a little different.
It is a little different. Now, can we go ahead and crowdfund to send some of our favorite, progressives to Canada?
The ones that keep on saying that they're going to move to Canada and they don't?
Please. Well, it sounds a little more complicated than, it should be. So,
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe go to anywhere, Canada. You want to go to Barbados and you want to spend the $100,000, you go ahead and you knock yourselves out. But yeah, the left is, again, losing their mind because they think that Trump is kicking out, the poor, and he's bringing in all of his rich friends, which, by the way, he said something. I'm going to grab the audio. He said something during this particular press conference. People are losing their minds. I've got that coming up, 6:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. The weather in Middle Tennessee can really get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Super Center. They are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. You can get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Super Center does feature expert installation and 24-hour monitoring. They won't leave you in the dark. The Generator Super Center. Financing is available. 615-879-1952. 615-879-1952. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com. That website, one more time, Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com. Tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 622, and Joan Jones has the news at 6:30. Joan.
Tennessee's ban on drag shows, it's here to stay. Also, Fort Bragg is about to get its name back. We've got those stories and more coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
627. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Very quickly talking about Donald Trump and this notion. By the way, Joan, I had made mention we're having some fun at the new Trump-related hats where he is throwing them around to the members of the media and so forth. And in the new hats, MAGA red, and they read, "Trump was right about everything." And we've heard from some folks who have let us know of the things that Donald Trump was wrong about.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you've looked at the text line.
Yeah, I did. And you know what? I have to admit, some of them
Legit.
Yeah.
Legit. Maybe we'll read some of those coming up at 6:35.
Good.
If you want to participate in that, go ahead and text us 615-737-9986. Was there anything, according to you, was there anything that Donald Trump was actually wrong on? And I can tell you, some of the people that he chose in the first administration, there were some mistakes there, but the reasoning was because he was trying to work well with the more mainstream Republicans. Of course, we all know that. There's some other things, though, and people definitely have some opinions. Would love to hear from you on the super text line, 615-737-9986. So you got the $5 million, right? You can buy your way into America for $5 million. And somebody asked, well, what about the dreaded Russian oligarchs?
Russian oligarch be eligible for a gold card?
Yeah, possibly. Hey, I know some Russian oligarchs that are very nice people. It's possible. They're not quite as wealthy as they used to be. They're not as wealthy as they used to be. I think they can afford $5 million.
All right. So people, of course, freaking out about that. Headlines all across the liberal media landscape about Donald Trump praising Russian oligarchs. It is 6:30 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning at 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We've got your traffic and weather on the way, so stick around. When President Trump convenes his first cabinet meeting this morning, guess who's coming along with him?
This morning, as Elon Musk faces new questions about his efforts to shrink the size of the government, he's preparing to attend the first meeting of President Trump's cabinet. Musk's Doge group has released a new list of savings, claiming to have terminated nearly 2,300 federal contracts across federal departments and agencies.
That's ABC's Nicole D'Antonio. Appeal denied. The U.S. Supreme Court saying it will not take up a lawsuit over Tennessee's drag show ban. Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti.
The law isn't focused on saying if you've got somebody dressed as a woman, that's illegal. That's been happening since Shakespeare's time and before that. What it says is once it becomes sexually explicit, once there's any sort of touching or simulated or real activity or other, what I think most of us would easily understand to be explicit activity, that you can't do that in front of kids.
Governor Bill Lee and other Tennessee Republicans had argued that the public performances were harmful to children. Fort Bragg getting its name back. Next week, the military will restore the North Carolina base's name, which was changed by President Biden to Fort Liberty. This time, however, it's not a Confederate general, but a World War II hero that it'll be named after.
This time, the North Carolina military installation will be named in honor of Private First Class Ronald Bragg, who earned a Purple Heart and Silver Star during World War II. Dr. Salvatore Mercogliano, Campbell University Department of History.
I think Bragg was selected, obviously, for his name.
PFC Bragg's daughter, Deborah Sokol, is 72 years old and lives in Maine.
He'd be humble, but he'd be surprised. And he'd be very pleased.
Sokol says her father trained at Fort Bragg before heading overseas. Dave Packer, ABC News.
That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 6:32, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Zero Res. You know, I used to worry about the chemicals the carpet cleaning companies used on my carpets, and that is why I started using Zero Res years ago. Now, they clean your carpets with powered water, no harsh chemicals, no soap, and no residue. It is safe for my kids and my pets. That is why I use Zero Res, and you should too. Now, the science behind Zero Res and their water cleaning agents is much healthier than using those soaps and detergents that those other companies use. Now, Got a lot of snow, got a lot of rain here in the last couple of weeks. A lot of that is being brought into your home. Zero Res can help you get your carpets clean. The Zero Res way, the Zero Res difference. That is why I've been a customer for years. Using Zero Res is also going to help with smelly carpets and your allergies as well. And right now, Zero Res has a great deal for the month of February. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for $109. Going to repeat that again because that's a great deal. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for $109 and $50 off of air duct cleaning as well. Restrictions may apply. Call them for the Dan deal. 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. Book online anytime. ZeroResNashville.com.
Looks like we have some delays now heading in on 65 and the 24 eastbound lanes down at that Trinity Lane area this morning. Also, a crash on Briley Parkway northbound at the off-ramp to eastbound Ashland City Highway. That is exit 24, and the off-ramp there is partially blocked. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 635 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Save a Tree. You know, for me, my backyard is my oasis. I bet a lot of you folks feel the same way, which is why I'm so glad Save a Tree came along and came into my life. Save a Tree can help your trees, your bushes and plants and shrubs look amazing and look anew. Now, if they're sick, Save a Tree can nurse them back to health. If they don't look right, Save a Tree can make them look incredible with the proper pruning. They can do all that. Now, they came over to my house, and I told them my issues with my plants and my shrubs, and they gave me great suggestions on how to fix my crepe myrtles and my shrubs, which both, frankly, have been a mess. Now, these folks are actual arborists at Save a Tree who can do wonders for your back and your front yard. They can make your lawn look amazing and weed-free. They can treat yellow leaves and diseased shrubs. And Save a Tree, they can help you bring those trees back to life. See how beautiful your yard can be. Set up your own evaluation at saveatree.com. Now, spelling is important. SAVATREE. Saveatree.com. SAVATREE. Saveatree.com. You can simply dial pound 250 on your smart device and say the keyword Save a Tree. That's pound 250, keyword Save a Tree. .637, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. How are you? Watch us on YouTube if you would. That's how I would like you to watch Nashville's Morning News, over there on YouTube. And we have the chat line that goes on over there. You can like and subscribe to the channel. And we also do the Daily Dan poll. And today's Daily Dan poll, how would you grade Donald Trump's first 5 weeks? Now, earlier we had 78% of y'all gave Donald Trump an A, And KGB, what is the current total?
79% A, 17% B, 3% C, and only 1% says D or F.
All right. Thank you very much. So go take the poll. We appreciate it when you do. We were talking earlier about, just very briefly, about Donald Trump, and he's got these new hats. Trump was right about everything. And so Joan and I were laughing back and forth about that. And I think I made the comment, having trouble just in that moment trying to think of anything that Trump was wrong about. And a lot of folks on the super text line said, oh, he was wrong about this or he was wrong about this. So I've got a couple from me, because some people started getting personal. Well, he cheated on his wife and those kinds of things. Let's stick to politics. Do you know what the main thing is that Donald Trump failed in? And by the way, you know that I'm a conservative and that I am a supporter of Donald Trump and his policies.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't fire Fauci.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a big one.
That is a big one.
Whoa. You're conservative?
I know. It's hard to believe, isn't it? So he didn't fire Fauci. And here's the other thing that I would have a question. We all know that the vaccines had side effects. I mean, we've known for a long time. It's finally coming out. I covered that extensively earlier this week, or maybe it was last week. A lot of side effects from the vaccines. I've been saying, do you know, Joan, that when Operation Warp Speed was going on, I said, what could go wrong with an initiative to come up with these vaccines called Operation Warp Speed? And I was concerned from the very beginning about side effects, just for all the reasons that we've all talked about. Now, here I am, 3 or 4 years later, whatever it's been, and I talked earlier for the first time about how I've got tinnitus.
Your tinnitus, yeah. And to be honest, you're lucky that that's as far as your side effects have gone.
You're absolutely right. My side effect is an annoyance. I mean, even when I'm sitting here talking, it's always there.
Mm-hmm.
It won't go away. When I'm trying to sleep, it's there.
Yeah.
It drives me batty. But again, if that's my only side effect, okay. But somebody said that the side effects of Operation Warp Speed are on Donald Trump. Now, I don't know if I agree with that, because Trump realized that Trump didn't mandate the vaccines. So I don't know if you can pin that on Donald Trump. Can you?
You cannot. And he was not able to, get it to the finish line either.
That's right. That's right. So I don't know if I hold Operation Warp Speed against Donald Trump.
But it was his initiative to roll these vaccines out faster than anything you've ever seen, which meant that they skipped all of the processes that the FDA sets up for vaccines to be used in public. We skipped through that process.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was his initiative or not that allowed the vaccine makers to roll these things out, inject them in people's arms, and they don't have any responsibility. They don't have any accountability for what happens to people.
Yep. And that's one of the big things that RFK Jr. wants to have a discussion on. So that's why I was so excited when he was confirmed. So and those are just a few. And I've got people that are hammering my direct message on the socials about how they've ended up with tinnitus as well from they believe from the vaccines. I think that's where I got mine. I really don't know. Whatever. I don't want to dwell on it, but I was surprised at how widespread it seems to be, because it's one of those things. And then I'm going to move on, but it's one of those things where I literally speak in here for a living, and it doesn't prevent me from doing my job. As I said, it's a mild annoyance, but I think for other people, it is worse. I think there's varying degrees of how bad, your tinnitus can be. I don't really understand. And maybe I should actually have it checked out. Maybe something can be done about it. Somebody asking the super text line, why do I take the throat coat? Why do I take the slippery elm? Because for years, and this is pre-COVID, I have had voice problems. My voice, and you actually just heard it in the last commercial. Man, I'll be just full speed ahead, 150 miles an hour, and then boom, my voice just is gone. Oh, It drives me crazy.
Somebody also said that chose the wrong spiritual advisor, Paula White. Agreed. Yeah. Totally agreed.
Really? Okay. That's not what I've really thought much about. You know who her husband is Jonathan Cain from Journey, who I've interviewed a couple of different times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So why don't you like her? Then I'm going to move on.
Oh, listen, I'm of the old school, and I'm of the belief that, the scriptures say that women should not be spiritual advisors. They should not be pastors, period.
Okay.
I mean, it's
I got
biblical.
nothing on that. So
yeah. But President Trump chose a lot of people that ended up being just disasters. And that was just because he was trying to keep with the people, the network that was already set up. He unbelievably mistakenly thought that people would, rally to him, try to help him, try to, do good for the country.
Yep, you're
and that's
absolutely
where it all fell
right.
apart.
You're absolutely right. He trusted that the people, that the Republicans, like the RNC and so forth, where they really forced him to bring on people in his administration that were not looking out for him or his best interests. And in some cases, they actively worked against him. So I think that Trump with the hats, Trump was right about everything. Okay, whatever. All I'm going to say is all in good fun. You want to wear one, fine. But there have been things that he was wrong about. And I can say that because I'm a conservative and I'm not afraid to say it.
It sure is fun to troll people, though, by wearing it in public, though, isn't it?
I'm not one to, I don't wear, and I don't know why, and people ask me this all the time, why I don't wear my political affiliation literally on my body. I don't. I don't wear Republican hats. For whatever reason, I never have. And part of that is because I feel like I'm taking my work with me wherever I go. Because I've been a talk show host for a long time, and it's not my identity. My identity is my family, my God, and, all that kind of stuff. So for me, walking around with a bunch of, and I'm not disparaging anybody who does.
Yeah.
It's just not my style. I'm not afraid of anything, although I'd really rather not have my car keyed again. But, for me, I just
that wasn't
think
an ex-girlfriend?
Is that real?
It's happened a couple of times.
Wow.
One, an ex-girlfriend way back when.
Oh.
And one at a station event. I want to move on.
Oh.
Whatever. Anyway, so my bottom line is I don't wear political gear just because I don't. And I did wear a Trump hat one time when Trump was elected. I had the 45 and the 47. And that is actually a very cool hat. And maybe I'll wear that again sometime. For whatever reason, I just have never worn political attire. Moving right along, that went way too long. 6:45, time to check the roads on WTN.
In on 24 or 65. No unusual delays on 40 or 440, 840 running accident free. I'm Christy O'Brien.
6:45 as far as your weather goes. Today, a high of 72, partly cloudy. 72 for a high today. Right now, 40 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, let's get back to business. Caroline Leavitt wanted to take a step back from the Elon email hysteria and reset the discussion regarding Doge.
Let's just take a step back and talk about this idea. The president sent out a truth last weekend to Elon Musk saying he loves everything Elon is doing and he wants him to be even more aggressive because Doge thus far has proven incredibly successful in making our government more efficient. And so Elon and Doge came up with this idea. Elon has implemented this at his private companies. It has proven successful. And it's a very simple idea when you think about it. All the Office of Personnel Management is asking, all this administration is asking, President Trump is asking, is for federal workers who live off of the American taxpayers' dime to send 5 bullet points of what they have done in the previous week. That is all we are asking for.
Look, she's absolutely right. And we've covered this ad nauseum, but that is true. Now, could this have been, this is where some people are going to get mad at me, could this have been executed better? Absolutely, it could have, and I'm going to get into that. But obviously, this is just common sense thinking.
And so the Office of Personnel and Management sent out additional guidance last night. Those responses should be directed to agency leadership, and the president defers to his cabinet secretaries, who he's obviously entrusted to pursue the guidance relative to their specific workforce. And for some of the agencies that you've seen who have said, please don't send these emails, it's in their best interest for that specific agency, and the president supports that. And let me be very clear, the president and Elon, his entire cabinet are working as one unified team, and they are implementing these very common sense solutions.
All right, so a bit of a different narrative yesterday during the White House press briefing. When I say it could have been executed better, here's where I'm at on this. Number one, we the people who pay the paychecks of these government employees, we have every right through our president and his people within his administration to demand answers as to what people are doing within the federal government and if they're actually working and if they're doing their jobs. That's number one. But number two, it could have been executed better because you had agency heads that had to tell their employees to ignore Donald Trump and ignore Elon Musk. I mean, that did happen. That wasn't fake media coverage. That actually happened. So she now says that everybody's on the same page, and that's good. I love that they are on the same page. Now there is guidance. OPM sends out the emails. Agency heads work directly with their employees to answer according to policy. Everybody is on the same page, and that is perfect. And so, you know, as Elon has said many times, we all can't be batting 1,000. I don't think anybody within the Trump administration is admitting that how this was executed was a mistake. I'm telling you that I believe that it was, but whatever. I mean, if we're going to, here's the thing. Got all these people on the left and in the media and so forth, and on the other side of the aisle that will scream about the mistakes that Elon Musk and or Donald Trump or the Trump administration will make regarding whatever it might be. Sit down and shut up. You have absolutely no right to say anything after the 4-year train wreck that your side of the aisle brought to America. Let the adults in the room handle the problems that we have in this country. You don't have a right to talk about this conversation, speak in this conversation, because your opinion means absolutely nothing. Just look at the polling and just look at what happened in the last election. Nobody wants to hear from you, liberals. Nobody wants to hear from you, progressives. Literally no one. Trump is trying to fix what you broke. So shut the hell up. That escalated quickly. I thought this was interesting. How Doge's email to federal employees was ripped from the private sector playbook. Really interesting, and it is coming up next. It is 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, the Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Dan Mandis here. You know, you've probably been looking for cars, and you see the words buy here, pay here, and it does make you think, well, that's not a place I want to go. And I get it. Most of these dealers, they do have very bad reputations. I am here to tell you there is one place you can go, Nolensville Road Auto Mart. Now, they're different for a few simple reasons. Number one, you know, they've been doing business in Nashville for 61 years. They are Nashville natives that only sell clean title cars under $12,000. So if you're new to town and you need a place to trust, they got you. If you need a first car for a 16-year-old, they can help you with that as well. You don't even need to take my word for it. Check out their Google reviews. They are excellent, and that really is saying something for a car dealership. Now, one location on Nolensville Road, close to Thompson Lane. They'll get you in and out in an hour or less. And the best part, they are the oldest buy here, pay here in Nashville. And they work with your own financing if you have it. Flexibility, transparency, and honesty. That is why I recommend Nolensville Road Auto Mart. That's Nolensville Road Auto Mart. Their website, automartcars.com. That is automartcars.com. 6:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones with the news at 7. Joan.
Yeah, you know, the FBI has just opened an investigation into something that FBI Director James Comey, the former FBI director, did years ago. We'll tell you about that coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:55, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Like us on Facebook, watch us on Facebook, subscribe to the channel, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting. Somebody sent this to me. I think Aaron sent this to me. And we're talking about Doge. And we're talking about all that it entails regarding whether or not people are working, federal government. Are people actually working? Because let's be honest, Donald Trump and others have said that we don't even know who's working and who's not. And so I thought it was interesting. There's a clip that went kind of sort of viral, and it was on the Breakfast Club. Now, you remember the Breakfast Club. It's, I forget this, Charlemagne, I guess, is the guy's name and so forth. And so it was interesting because woman called up, and she was talking about how she works for the federal government, and she unloaded on the Department of Human Services, DHS. Listen.
Yes, I got the email, and I honestly feel like this is a great opportunity to outline what you as an employee bring to the bring to the federal government. And if it's really good what you outline, they could give you an opportunity to get a promotion or something. Like, God forbid, they ask you what you've done. Any other job, they'll ask you at the end of the week, at the end of the month. So at the end of the day, God forbid anybody make any, and it's this Democratic thing. It's like, I don't want to get the parties into it, but they don't want to go to work. They want to work from home. People are not working from home.
Yeah, this is on the Breakfast Club. Now, realize that this was in the middle of Charlemagne and his cohorts talking about, I'm assuming, oh, Donald Trump and Elon Musk, I can't believe they're asking for emails, all that crap. And so she calls up and she says, you guys are all wrong. That, yes, there is. Remember I played you that audio yesterday of that woman who also posted on the socials. And she was saying that there's a lot of people that literally don't work within the federal government. And so one of the things that this woman said that called the Breakfast Club in Charlemagne was that they're gadgets that people can actually buy to make it look like they're working when they're really not. And so that's part of what she was trying to call out.
I don't get it.
I'm not mad at your perspective.
I haven't
heard this perspective.
Do you feel like there are a lot of people that are not working, that are taking days off? I guess exactly what Trump and Elon are saying.
Absolutely. I work from home, and do you know what? Donald Trump got the gadget idea because Elon Musk, he fired like 80% of the Twitter people or Tesla people for his company, because you can buy a gadget that actually shakes up like you're at the desk, but you're really not working, because the computers, it shuts off if it's non-activity within like 5 minutes.
Yep.
So it requires you to actually work from home. But it's gadgets around that, and people are actually buying it and using it and not working. And this is our taxpayers' money, and you have to work.
Yeah,
you don't like it, get another job.
I love that. And, the guys were kind of on their heels a little bit. I thought this, I don't know if you picked up on it. Charlemagne actually said this.
I don't get it.
I'm not mad at your perspective. I haven't heard this perspective.
I have not heard this perspective. How have you not heard that perspective? I mean,
it's the circles you're running.
I don't want to throw a bunch of stones, but
I don't get it.
I'm not mad at your perspective. I haven't heard this perspective.
How have you not heard that perspective, man? How have you not heard that there's people out there that have worked for the federal government or have issues with the federal government because of the federal government and all of its waste?
I don't get it.
I'm not mad at your perspective. I haven't heard this perspective.
I mean, there's a lot of perspectives that I disagree with, but I've heard a lot of them. So you're right, Joan. It's that circular echo chamber that they've got going on over on the other side. It is 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Stick around for traffic and weather right after the news. Kash Patel has begun an investigation into the honeypot operation launched by FBI Director James Comey, designed to infiltrate the Trump campaign at high levels. Newsmax reports that Patel and Dan Bongino are looking for the two female undercover agents, those honeypots, who allegedly infiltrated the government. President Trump is one step closer to getting his one big beautiful bill after House Republicans adopted the budget resolution that lays the foundation for it last night, but it was a tight vote.
The House narrowly passed a Republican budget resolution, a critical first step toward enacting